I have to say to the honourable gentleman, I wish I had the privilege of walking around this country and not seeing the division that the issue of migration and asylum system is creating across this country. Unlike him, unfortunately, I am the one that is regularly called a and told to go back home. It is I who knows through my personal experience and that of my constituents just how divisive the issue of asylum has become in our country. And I do say to him, I wish it were possible to say that there isn't a problem here, that there's nothing to see and that it is all, in fact, just extremist right-wing talking points. But this system is broken and it is incumbent on all members of Parliament to acknowledge how badly broken the system is and to make it a moral mission to fix this system so that it stops creating the division that we all see. And I do say to him, I do not think it is acceptable or appropriate for people in this place to not acknowledge the real experience of those who sit outside of this House. We are supposed to be in here to reflect that experience in this House, and I hope that he will approach the debates that we will no doubt have on all of these measures in that spirit. He also accused this government of being too slow to act. I do have to say to him, removals of those who have no right to be in our country are up by 23% in the first 18 months of this Labour government compared to the last 18 months of that former Tory government. That is a government that is getting on with the job. We have made 11,000 enforcement raids, 8,000 arrests, and over 1,000 people with no right to be in this country as a result of those raids have been removed from this country. This is a government that has been getting on with the job, and this is just the next phase of our work as we deal with the broken migration system that we inherited from those opposite. He said that he thought that whilst people who are waiting on their claim should be given the right to work, I think he knows that would be a huge pull factor and increase the number of channel crossings rather than decrease them. That would be our experience in this country. That is why we are not pursuing that policy. But what we have said is for those who are granted refugee status in this country and who can and want to, they will be able to switch into the protection, work and study route so they can start contributing to society. That will help them to integrate and it will help the communities that they are living in as well. He knows full well that it is not the policy of this government to confiscate jewellery from those who are accessing asylum accommodation. What I would say to him, though, is asylum accommodation is provided to asylum seekers by British taxpayers, and it is right that if people have high-value assets, that they contribute to the cost of that asylum accommodation. I gave in my speech the example of a man who was in supported asylum accommodation paid for by his taxpayers and by mine, who was receiving £800 a month from his family and who had enough money to acquire himself an Audi. I think it is right that the British state should be able to say to such an individual, contribute. We're not saying that we would take everything away and leave that individual destitute, but I think contribution is a fair principle here. And I would be very disappointed to discover that the Liberal Democrats do not support contribution when people can afford to do so to the cost of their asylum accommodation. And Madam Deputy Speaker, he left his remarks on Brexit. I don't have any more to say about that. I'm living in the world as it is today. If he has things to say, I'm sure the House will continue to hear about them.
The Home Secretary should know that language that is not acceptable in this House does not become acceptable if it is attributed to others. She might like to apologise for the language used.
I apologise, Madam Deputy Speaker. I did not mean any discourtesy. I was merely reflecting the truth of words that are used to me.
And I think we all appreciate that. But please, can I urge members to keep their language acceptable in the House?